People of the internet, it is I, Don Thomas, back again with another video. As always, I am greatly appreciative of you guys tuning in to these videos. And without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Now, as you see in the title, of course, we're talking about marriage, folks. We're talking about just like human dynamic, right? And of course, I usually, there's a lot of people in this space that there's a sector of YouTube that is heavily populated with relationship talks and this, that, and the other. And I promised myself like that was a lane that I didn't want to get into. And it still isn't a lane that I want to get into, but I think I'm more so trying to start speaking on things that affect us socially, right? So social interactions, right? In terms of just like things that are, prevalent in day-to-day life. So what it takes to, some of the things that happen in this human experience, right? Relationships is one of them, right? Relationships is a huge part. How we interact with each other is a huge part of this whole social experiment called life, right? So today, of course, you guys may or may not be familiar. There's a popular, I guess you could call him a YouTuber. He's a political commentator. And honestly, I just recently got familiar with him. Gentleman by the name of Steven Crowder. Louder with Crowder, right? So I think he was working at the Daily Wire. I've been hearing his name a lot more. I think I just started following him on Twitter maybe like a few months ago. He's a political commentator. And again, as I mentioned, I don't really care too much about politics, but I usually like to hear, I'll take the commentary as opposed to, listening to what are the cases from the news, what are the cases. But he seems, from what I understand, I think he's around my age as well, too. He seems like a guy, he's been in it for some time. Of course, he's became very successful, built a platform for himself. So if anything, I think, studying just to take notes on his whole come up and things of that nature and people within this space, right? So may not be familiar. He's in the news as of late right now. He's going through a divorce. He's been going through some things over the past few months, I would say. But the most prevalent topic right now that he's kind of dealing with is this divorce, right? That's just been recently made public information. I believe he also announced it. I think it was something that was starting to come to light. He also just made a few statements in regards to that as well, too. Starting to get a little bit out of hand. There's footage going through now. I think, it was his wife that called off the marriage or, initiated the divorce and things of that nature. So he kind of spoke in that situation. And I'm not here to really, at the end of the day, people always got to remember these are real people, right? There's been a lot of people that offering their 2 cents on the topic as a whole, but I tend to, and I don't know the guy, but of course I tend to like stray away from the personal happenings of people's lives and try to give them that respect and peace. I think he was even mentioning his kids, how this is affecting his kids and things of that nature. So I want to spend the least amount of time focusing on him in particular, but open up a conversation to something that I thought was pretty interesting, right? One of the videos that I saw that when he was addressing this whole situation, Crowder was speaking about how he chose wrong, right? In terms of his marriage, right? I think this was somebody that he's known for some time. Of course, as I mentioned, probably I think had, some role to play in his uprising as well, too. I'm not too sure what are the cases, but he's known her for some time. X amount of years of marriage. I think they've been, married for some time, and now she wakes up and says, I can't do this anymore. Now, there's footage showing that, of course, I guess there was some verbal abuse, this, that, and the other. Again, I'm not trying to go into the details of it. I'm speaking from the standpoint of, again, the concept of marriage, the institution of marriage, the idea of, and the importance of choosing right and choosing wrong and things of that nature. And I'll even throw in the question, of course, of is marriage even a thing that we need to still be doing? Or is it, if is the institution of marriage something we still need to be doing? And if so, do you think it's time that we start amending the rules as to what constitutes a healthy marriage or what are the cases, the terms and services, right? As I like to say in terms of marriage. So those are some questions I want to pose to you guys today as well, too. And I think this is what I want to start. I want to start bringing in more social ideas in terms of just, again, human interaction, things that affect us on a day-to-day. And I'm sure these things kind of, a little bit prevalent in your life as well, too, in terms of just whether you're single, you're married, whether you have a business, whatever the case is, this and the other. But as of late, I've been seeing a lot of, like, prominent men, right? Of course, in the YouTube space right now, there's also a sector of YouTube called the Manosphere, right? Which is just like man news, I guess, or man talk, as women had their daily shows and their, things that they used to watch back in the day. There's a space of YouTube that's dedicated to the men, right? So in the Manosphere, there's always conversation about like, hey man, don't get married, man. It's not worth it, man. There's no benefits for you in that. Whatever the case is, there's a section in YouTube also called the Red Pill community as well too, which is a little bit controversial. But you hear these conversations about like, yeah, man, choose right. And nah, man, focus on your purpose, focus on your grind, this and the other, man. The right woman will come in the right time, this and the other, woo, woo, woo. And this is also a conversation that's pretty prevalent in my life as well too, because I am indeed getting older. As a matter of fact, I celebrated a birthday not too long ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever. And I just turned 34, believe it or not, right? So this is, of course, a conversation that's been at the forefront of my life as well, too, in my personal life, in terms of just, where I stand in terms of, hey, is it that time yet? I'm always presented with that question from my mom, who's waiting for more grandkids. She already has 2. Once more for me now. And once they see me settle down and things of that nature, and I try to tell her, look, Mom, the dating scene is different. The modern woman is different. The criteria of dating and marriage and courtship is different these days, man. It's not what you guys are used to. So, I mean, she's aware of these things as well, too. But there's a lot of reasons as to why I'm single without kids, whatever the case is. One, I just do believe it's God's time and it's God's will for it to be that way. But 2, I think there's a conscious decision that I've made within myself as well too, where it's just like I'm not settling and I'm super focused on what I got going on, man, i.e. this channel, my own personal endeavors, things of that nature. So when it comes to things like marriage, not gonna lie to you, man, it doesn't sit too high on my list of priorities right now. I am fearful of choosing wrong, as my man Crowder said, which I thought was interesting, man. He said he chose wrong, man, and what constitutes that, man? Again, they've been together for some time, so it's just like, I always find it interesting when people end relationships after you hear like, oh, after 10 years, 12 years of marriage, these people are calling it quits, this, that, the other. Whereas I always thought marriage was something that was supposed to be for till death do you part, right? In the long haul, or whatever the case is. But I'm more so presenting the question of the institution of marriage. You're seeing popular trends right now of, again, like I've been seeing some statistics. I don't know if they hold as true, but saying that there's a projection that, my generation, the millennials and the generation behind me, see less and less value in marriage. And, for what? I feel like I always told myself, man, if I get married, it has to make sense. I see my life going in 2 ways right now. I always like to say, man, I do see a world where, it's the ideal, typical, the wife, the kids, the house, things of that nature. I see a world where that is my reality. But to be completely honest, I see another world as well too, where it's just like I am single and I am, highly career focused, because I think that's kind of where I am now. I think that's the version of myself right now is currently the version that's highly focused on his career and his goals. Marriage, as I said, of course, isn't on the highest list of priorities right now. It's on there, but it's not make or break for me. Honestly, I feel like if it happens, cool. If it doesn't happen, cool. I've been saying that, and I know when I say that, it makes my mom in particular upset. But that's just the reality, man. And then of course, when you hear, man, when you start, another thing that's preached on this level, in YouTube, of course, in the Manosphere, as I mentioned, is just like, man, dudes that are on their grind, man, dudes that are focused right now to obtain some things. You got to be mindful of the people that you're around, both professionally and personally. But it's just like, when you have your eyes set on certain things, man, and people see that you have your eyes set on certain things, man, people have different intentions. Specifically in the department of relationships and marriage and things of that nature, man, it's just like there is a demographic of women that's out here for the bag, man. They want to kick their feet up right now. They want to kick their feet up. They're tired. They want somebody to take care of them. And there's a demographic of women who aren't able to help or sustain or be an asset to what some gentlemen already have, what they already have going on. So me right now, man, of course, you heard the story about the soccer player the other day. I was going to cover it, but I didn't think it was as relevant, or, whatever the case is. But the soccer player, I forgot where he was from, who, his wife says that she wants to divorce. And I think there were some other technical reasons as to why she proposed that as well, too. But wife goes to divorce him, goes to take half, as they usually do, if not more, only to find out that he safely and securely held all his funds in his mother's account. You know, and the Manosphere went happy for him. They went crazy for him, man, because it was like, all right, man, he beat the system, man. Watch out for these women, this, that, and the other, whatever the case. And so I think that's some of my fears as well, too. Bringing somebody along on a journey that doesn't deserve it, or just wasting my time with people who are counterproductive as opposed to productive and on in terms of the things that I want to accomplish, and then just being ungrateful. I feel like I'm a very nice person. I have a big heart, man, and I wouldn't want to waste that on somebody who's ungrateful, you know? So I thought it was interesting, again, with seeing my man Steven Crowder, his YouTube space, the thing the foundation he's been able to build upon, the career, the trajectory that he's made for life, and then all for him to be stressing right now about a marriage from a wife who says, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Is marriage something that needs to be revisited, is what I'm presenting. Is the question of, is marriage a thing right now, no matter where you are in your life, young, old, rich, poor, marriage, man, this binding integration of federal and state government in terms of the union of two people, man, is that necessary? Or will a social contract suffice, man? Can we not just come to terms as two adults of sound mind and sound body come together and say, hey, man, this is the terms that we will live by in this union of you and I, and we don't need to bring in other stipulations. Now, again, of course, I know there's other benefits as well too, and I would argue, of course, that I think marriage is a beautiful thing when done correctly between two people, man and woman, especially when it comes to, you know, raising children in a household as well too. I came up from a 2-parent household, and I see the benefits of having that as well too. My parents are still together till this day, and I see the benefits of having 2 parents in a household under a marriage. I think it's a beautiful thing when done correctly. But again, the modern space right now is a little bit different, right? First of all, you have my generation and the ones thereafter even fearful of, you know, the economic standings of it all, right? Getting a house is expensive. Having children is expensive, right? Divorce is expensive. So financially speaking, I don't think there's as much incentive for people right now to get married, but I do see the beauty of having a companion, a partner, a life partner, who's of sound mind and wants to help you as well too. And you guys help each other, right? You guys complement each other on the things that you guys want to accomplish. I think it's a beautiful thing when done correctly, but I cannot sit here and deny and say that I am not a little bit skeptical of getting the government involved in a union between me and somebody else when I don't know how things will pan out 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, you know? So there's some other reasons as well too that I won't get into right now. I had a conversation with a colleague when I was kind of speaking of my fears in particular of having children, but marriage, like I said, man, I see my life right now. It's not something that I feel like I need to do in terms of fulfillment. I feel like I can find fulfillment from other areas in my life on the things that I'm focused on now. And if marriage happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's my mindset right now. So yeah, that's where I stand on it. But of course, I'm open to hear your guys' opinions and thoughts on this topic as well too. To Steven Crowder, man, hold your head, brother. I don't know the full details of your situation right now, but you know, as somebody again who works within this YouTube space and has built a, you know, sustainable platform for himself and has found success, I wish you all the best in what you got going on. So questions, comments, concerns, leave your opinions down in the comment section below. I want to hear your thoughts, folks. Catch you on the next one.